Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Enlightened Path podcast. I'm Patricia Walls, and I have with me Christina Calderon, who is a longtime sister. And I'm excited to about what she has to share because she's not only an artist, but a counselor and dream worker. So let me read you what her bio is, because I was paraphrasing. So Christina is a licensed professional counselor and art therapist. She specializes in dream work, art therapy, and phototherapy. She's a mixed media artist and photographer and considers her personal artwork an intuitive process used to connect with the deeper knowing of self and spirit. And I have seen a lot of her work, and you've published a lot of it, haven't you? Haven't you been in art shows? And I know you've been associated with the art community, doing work in the community using art therapy. And
yeah, I have. The last show that I really was involved with was the actually at the Dream Conference, the International Dream Conference, which was in Arizona.
Oh yeah.
And I did a few pieces that were shown there. So I've kind of taken a break from showing work since I've been in Houston. So I've been in Houston now actually this month, a year. So I feel really new to the area, and I'm still really trying to, network and do things like that. But also I've kind of taken a shift, in a different direction with a lot of the things I'm doing. And my primary goal really isn't about showing work anymore. It's really about connecting people to their own work. And
Okay. Yeah.
And really recently, I got a contract with an organization in Austin, which I'll be doing starting next week, going every week to Austin and doing some art groups for people who are unhoused. So the organization is called Art from the Streets, and they've been doing this work for 31 years. Beautiful people, beautiful community, which I'm really excited to get to be a part of. And so part of my role there would be, as an art therapist, really helping people understand themselves through the artwork. And then also too, hopefully connecting them to, different resources and different things that they can really utilize to, if they choose to, move forward with their emotional and mental health.
I love that term, unhoused. That's the first time I've ever heard it, but I love that. It's so much more loving and considerate. It really is.
I think the way that we talk about people is really important. It's one of the things that I've been working on. I think I've been working on it for probably forever. But lately, especially, and how we really refer to people, how we talk to people, the words we use to describe the things that we're doing, words have so much power, and they can really build somebody up or really tear them down. So, it really only takes a brief moment, and, we could lose everything. People are in situations for various reasons. And I just believe that we're all connected, and we should be helping each other as much as we can with the tools that we have within our limits, within our boundaries. So yeah.
I mean, literally, we're all this far away from it. I mean, a fire, a catastrophe, it wouldn't take but a second. And so how does the dream work with the artwork? It sounds as though it's two different streams, but knowing you, it's not two different streams. So how are you blending the two?
Well, really, for a while, I was doing some dream groups in New Mexico, and I've been working actually on an individual level with people here in Houston. And what I find is that people, there's so much information that they receive about themselves through the dream world. So, I'll kind of break it down. Usually I have someone share their dream and then create art around it. So the entire session or the entire process is pretty long. It's usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So they're really breaking down the dream and as much detail as possible, writing it down, and then they're actually creating artwork around it. And from that piece, all the symbology, everything that they create, we then break down again. And I believe 100% the dreamer always knows what the dream means. They always hold the knowledge. They always, the message is for them. And even when, there are varieties of dreams, which, I know you're aware of, that we have different kinds of dreams. Sometimes we process, sometimes we actually do see things about others. Sometimes we really travel to different worlds. So all of those things really are revealed in the artwork sometimes, in various ways, and more information is gathered. I think that part of the process becomes extremely intuitive when they start to break down the artwork, because it's really like that liminal space that they go into in the dream world. I love dreaming. I think almost every client that I've had for years, they will bring a dream in at some point in time into the work that we do. And there's so much information. It's one of my favorite things, and it's one of the things that I personally work with as my spiritual way, is my dreams.
What would you say about someone who says that they don't dream? I know we all dream, they just maybe don't remember them. But what is your professionally, what insight do you have about someone who thinks that they don't dream?
Well, I encourage them to, the very moment that they wake in the mornings, to begin to notice their feeling. Like, what is their body actually feeling? And really tap into like the somatic experience that they have when they wake up, because there'll be information there about what they've dreamed or where they've gone. So initially I kind of start there and then encourage them to really like set timers, in the morning, go back to sleep. We do need actually a lot of sleep. And I think that sometimes we just don't really get enough of sleep. But in the beginning, I think it's important to know that, yes, we do all dream. And on a more, spiritual side, we have really lost the ability to, and it really is through a type of kind of hybridization. And I think that that's okay. I don't think it's good or bad. I think that it's just a different way that we have to tap into that space. Everyone can and everyone does, but sometimes it is harder for people. And there's a series of things that, have created that for them. And sometimes it's trauma in real time. Sometimes it's actually past trauma. And sometimes it's their star lineage. So we really have to look at all of those things before we can really create a plan to tap that world.
So how does star lineage fit into that?
Well, I think that we are all connected in that way to these realms.
Right.
Everyone has their own belief system, and I personally, I feel very open to everyone. Whatever beliefs that you have, it's okay. We can work within that. We can also look at the star lineage as ancestors, as the people that came before us. And all of that is within our DNA, all of that. Historical trauma, collective trauma, it's all connected. And the star lineage is actually part of historical DNA. And so those things are part of sometimes why we don't dream.
When you say star lineage, are you meaning star lineage as in Sirius, Pluto, Aquarius, that star? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I know that in the hypnosis practice that I have, usually people who say they don't dream are harder to get under hypnosis. So yeah, I could imagine that it has a lot to do with trauma, shutting down. Yeah, I would imagine so. What do you feel about people who have, like, I have a lot of, what do I call them? I call them series dreams. where what, this dream, this will be going on. The next dream, it'll change just a little bit. And then the next dream, it'll change just. So I have a television series that I run, several of them. They're different ones. But I mean, what do you feel about that? Is that me playing something out and as my frequency changes, the dream changes, or what do you think?
Well, I think series dreams are amazing. I've only had a few throughout my lifetime, and I think they're great because they are actually part of like an alternate timeline that we're experiencing.
Oh,
and there is actual information that we can get. And there really is something very special to gain from looking at that. So one of the ways that in session I work with like recurring dreams and series dreams is really breaking it down in the same way, but also picking up where the theme is and trying to find where the theme is. Sometimes the theme can actually, it's like, it can be in like a glass of water, right? It could be just the symbol of the glass of water. And to uncover that it can be complicated, I think, for people, or frustrating, because I hear this a lot that, oh, my dreams are nonsense. There's just, there's all these crazy things happening. It's just nonsense. But in that, there really is important information. So what I do is just encourage people to look at it from very beginning to end, in each dream, put them in order and then mix them up and, play with it. Creating the art to me is so important. It's one of the bigger pieces to uncovering something, even if you're just sketching or you're putting something down, like you're drawing for 5 minutes. You're not really trying to create masterpieces. You're trying to invoke something. And that's the way I think it has worked best for me anyway.
Yeah, I've seen some of your art is painting, and some of your art is almost like collage, right? Where you take symbolism and add it to the paper.
Yes, for sure. I do a lot of mixed media. Most of the work that I've done, even starting out as an artist, is mixed media. And it really is because I feel that one thing isn't enough. One way isn't enough. Even with therapy, for example, there are so many methods and so many techniques and so many things that people do in order to help someone move through something or disclose information or, ultimately find their own type of healing. And mine has always been a mix. It's really eclectic. And I think that is really represented in my artwork.
Yeah, I think I've interviewed you, and I talked before, and I have 2 pieces from you. They're in the collection. One of them is displayed somewhere. I forgot where I put it, but I have 2 pieces from you, and now it's going to drive me crazy where I have them. But they're treasured pieces, Oh, I know. One is in there. Carolyn made me a plate. well, she's made me a couple of things, but one of them was a plate. And I think one of the pieces is in there in the display case with her plate. So yeah.
I
Anyway,
still have some of Carolyn's plates too.
mhm. She was an amazing
Yes,
potter. I
amazing
mean,
potter.
she dug the clay, she refined it, she did the whole process. It's just amazing. So she's not doing that anymore, huh?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think she got rid of her
Well, I
everything.
have two original pieces that I am treasuring of hers. So yeah, yeah. Um, so what's next for you as far as helping? You mentioned that you're not really doing showings anymore for your art, but where do you feel that you're going with that in helping the community and in helping the collective?
Really, over the past year, I have been really creating more and more around spoken word and wanting to put those things in some sort of like audio format. I'm not a musician, and there's a part of me that really wishes I was, because I I don't know when this happened. I think it had to have been a few years ago, but I really started noticing that in the morning hours, I would really begin to receive messages at that time. After my dreams had, started to kind of fade and dissipate, I would really begin to get messages during that time. So I began to write them down, and I recently have started recording them, my voice, and I would like to kind of set those things to music and do a few things with them. And I've been working with a few different people who are wanting to help me bring these sort of things to life. Um, but I don't know. I feel like I'm really open right now to doing something different. But also I'm still
You did
painting.
you did one of those, didn't you? Years ago when you were in New Mexico, didn't you do
I did an
you
entire album, and you actually were singing the white.
right. You had me on the album.
I
Oh
did.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
absolutely, and that's really like that initial taste of that um, is why I want to do this again, because I do think that I'm at a completely different place with my life. And also, I think I have a lot more to say now. So I still absolutely, I listened to that piece that you actually helped with. And I'm just sometimes brought to tears over,
Oh.
just like it was beautiful. It is actually beautiful. Um,
It was a brilliant piece of work, and I was really honored to be able to be part of it. Yeah. I hope you do more. I hope you do more like that, you know.
yeah, and that's really where I feel like I'm going. That's what I want to lean into in the
Mhm.
years to come, or the months to come, Um, but I am still painting. I just completed one piece yesterday and started a new piece. I'm hoping to put something together, really revolving around, the womb. And over in April, I had my uterus removed. I had a complete hysterectomy, and that whole process, I feel like I'm still kind of exploring through my artwork. So I've already started a few process pieces, and I've done a few things that I'm going to take from and create more around. But I really do feel like, there was a real part of me for a long time that thought, this is my sacred portal, and I feel actually more connected with it gone than I did before. So I'm discovering all of these really amazing things throughout this entire process. So I want to share that somehow. I just don't know how yet.
So what is this piece that you oh, I can't, it's not going to show. But you had there, wait, that one. What is that piece?
That is one that I completed yesterday. That one is
That's the one. Okay. All right. I'm going to share that on the podcast and on this episode information. That is beautiful. I love the colors. Do you want to talk about what that symbolizes, or is that something that you want to discuss?
Well, I had I was listening to some music and basically started connecting all of these things really, and this is all really revolving around, you know, this time period of my life where I was really struggling with the decision to, have a hysterectomy. And, what does that really mean for me? And how much pain I was in before. I mean, I became really anemic. There were all of these complications. And actually, a lot of things happened that really impacted my life so profoundly. And I haven't really wanted to create from that space, like from those thoughts or from those feelings. But lately, I've been really wanting to do that, and I've been wanting to tell that story. And I think that this particular piece was really about that very thing: is that the desire to be open about my experience, the desire to share with people what I'm actually not only going through as an individual, but as a woman, and things like that. So really, I think the symbology, it really is a representation of me, but more of like a dream character that I'm going to be playing with in that particular series.
She's very galactic, isn't she? Yeah. You can see codes above her head, codes coming in. I love the colors.
Thank you.
So, work-wise, are you still practicing? Are you still, do you still have a shingle, as they would say?
Yeah, I'm working for an organization called the Resilience Center here in Houston. So I see clients every week, and then I have this contract that I'm going to be doing in Austin for, art from the streets. And,
Right.
there are some other things I would like to do, really specifically group work. And I would like to start a new dream group here in Houston. So there are things that I'm doing, and I am practicing, pretty much daily. I know recently some of my clients have asked me to record meditations that we do. And I'm working on getting some of those recorded and sent out to people and sharing those with people too. They're basic things that we've all done, grounding and connecting, really the intuitive process around that, like what does a person need, and where do we go from there once we're tapped in. Those are all pretty private, but I think there are some things, some meditations that are really just, we've all been doing, and I'm just going to record them and send them out. I don't know. I feel like I work pretty much every day.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I met so many people that I know have gotten out of, what would you call it, organized jobs. It sounds like organized religion or something. It's not, but anyway. So many people that I know have gotten out of the regular jobs, and they're just they're practicing as a soul counselor. So I didn't know if you were doing that or if you were still working for an organization.
Technically, so, yeah. I am working for myself. I'm a contractor. So my next step is private practice. I'm really just trying right now to find my location. I don't know if Texas is really where I want to be planted. And I'm still playing around with the idea. I, applied for my license in Colorado, and just really feeling some different areas where I might be useful and might be needed. I don't know yet. But that is actually my next step in terms of my career and also the work that I'm doing. I will have a private practice. It's much better to be working, the way that I can, or freely, actually, be
Right.
able
That's
to.
the thing. Yeah. Private practice was the word I was trying to find. Um, because when people are multidimensional beings, and they have all of these different aspects and tools and gifts that they're working with, and then they're limited by a corporation or something of that sort, where they say, oh no, you can't bring Reiki into it, and oh no, you can't bring art therapy into it, and you can't do dream interpretation. You have to strictly do, by the book counseling. It's very limiting. And I think that's why a lot of people have gone out on their own private practice. And I was just wondering if you were doing that, or if you were considering it. So yeah, I think you really have too much to offer to be limited, by someone else's set of rules.
Thank you. And I really do feel that I mean, I want to incorporate everything, I mean, I've been a massage therapist. In like the Western model of therapy, I mean, I don't touch clients at all, and I think it's safe, and it's that's set in place for a reason. But I also feel like to be able to offer that to someone is important to me. So there are a lot of things that I do that it's like right now I'm in these little pockets everywhere. And when I'm able to have my own practice, I will be able to pull everything together and really work the way that I know, works. And I'm hoping that there'll be a little bit of everything in all of that.
Right. A little bit of nature therapy and,
Yes.
all that stuff that you can't really do, from a corporate standpoint or an organized business standpoint, especially when you're dealing with, well, no, not so much when you're dealing with state of Texas regulations, right? You would still have, is it called autonomy? You would still be able to bring in different tools and aspects to help people. That would just be such a great offering, for the collective, because people have, the options are limited a lot of times as to what we can do. And why that's why so many people leave their HMOs, their practicing physicians, and go instead to homeopathic, and natural cures. And I'm glad that we're receiving more options.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
me too. And I'm hoping honestly that, all of that is included, like one of my favorite tinctures, my dream tincture. I mean, I love making it, and I love being able to give that to my clients. This particular, year, I've made more of it than I've made in the past, and been able to share that with my clients when they're having trouble sleeping or when they have different things. And, naturally, I always have them check in with their doctors, and if they have serious health issues, all of those herbs they need to look into. But, these are things that I feel like are really important for people to know and have available to them on some level. In, like the traditional organization, you are not allowed to do any of those things. I've had such a horrible experience with nonprofits over the course of the years, just because they're so limited. The funding is limited. What we can do is limited. Everything is about getting numbers. And I feel like even in bigger corporations that are for profit, it's really about this bottom line. It's really not about the people. And it's one of the biggest discouragements that, I face on a regular basis working, in this way. But I also feel like, the more I can, you know, be involved on some level, little tiny windows open and I'm able to provide options for people. So I feel like it's not for nothing, but at times it can be discouraging. I know for most therapists, like the burnout, years, like 5 years in, that's at the beginning of someone's career. But the
Yeah.
stories and, the amount of suffering that's happening is pretty profound here. So,
Yeah.
I feel like right now I'm at a good place where I'm open to different possibilities, and my next step is it's very clear for me, and I know how to do it. So I've been very, very thankful, very thankful.
Good. Um, so if you were going to refer someone to books to learn more about dreams, understanding their dreams, people who can't get to you or can't get a session with you, what books would you refer them to?
I have actually I have a pretty big list of books. I can send it.
I can add it. Yeah, I can add it on the podcast information. Is that okay?
Yeah, I can do that. I do have a list of books that I would recommend. Off the top of my head, I don't have any, mainly because I haven't read books. I think the last book I read was like The History of Dreaming, I think by Robert Moss. And,
Yeah.
it was good. I think there was some good stuff, to get from that. But really, like, my experiences with dreaming are really about exploring the dream itself and really asking myself the questions and the people around me. One of
Mhm.
the beautiful things about dream sharing is that we get the feedback, right? We get this, other perspective. And that's part of that sort of multidimensional way that we operate, I think, is we do need that we need the collective knowledge. So dream circles are a really great way to start really learning about this stuff. I think that, like, the personal experience is the best experience. People are going to say things historically, culturally, like all of that. But for ourselves, I feel like the most powerful thing that we learn about ourselves in dreaming is through our own dreams.
Yeah. I've heard that before. I mean, I heard that. I forget where I heard it, but I heard that before, that because there are people who say they can interpret dreams, and I don't doubt that they can. But I've often heard too that dreams are very personal, like you say, and that it would be hard for someone else to interpret that for you because the dream is personal to you, and what that symbol means to you will not be the same thing that it means to someone else. Like with anything else, like with words, that old word love, you know, that my interpretation of love may be different from someone else's. It certainly probably would be different from somebody else's. And it's the same with dreams too, right? I mean, that's what you're saying. So it is probably better to get your own, to work out your own answers with it. So um, are you seeing private clients? Are you able to see private clients because you're a contractor, right?
Yeah,
Subcontractor?
I do. I see private clients. And, really that if we're doing a dream session, if they're asking specifically for that kind of work, it is really a lot of their own personal work. I mean, I'm just being a reflective mirror and giving feedback. So, that's the beauty, I think, of it, is that I'm really not interpreting anything. I'm
Mm-hmm.
allowing them to actually interpret their own dream. And I'm just a person to confirm it and say, oh, that makes sense. And, like really look at it with them. And if I do give feedback, it's always in kind of like a way where I'm not projecting my thoughts or my own interpretation of the dream onto a person's dream or artwork itself. And I think it is better that way, because it's empowering when a person finally, they come to the place where, oh, I get this and I understand what this really means for me.
Yeah.
So that entire process does take time, because instead of just giving information, I'm drawing information out of a person, which is very different from a lot of like intuitive readings, where a person is going into their sacred space, they are channeling their guides, their beings, and then they're giving knowledge from that place. They're tapping into the other person's highest self. And I'm doing that exact same thing, but I'm actually not allowing information to come from me. I'm asking and retrieving information from the person. So it's a different kind of way of doing things, but I think it's very effective, because the dreamer they're traveling. They're actually traveling to these worlds and these places. So they're the only ones that truly know the information, even if they are with guides and others who are helping them and they're helpers. They're still actually having this very specific experience. So yeah, I don't know if that is probably a lot of information.
No, yeah. I mean, it's good. It's all good. I was having a conversation. Well, it came up in another of the podcasts with my brother Lawrence. Came up about dreams, and I was sharing that most often my dreams are filled with people. I mean, there's like a zillion people in my dreams, and I used to say, "What are you doing here? This is my dream. I mean, why are you people crowding me?" Because I most often am traveling. I'm always traveling in my dreams. And sometimes they're walking with me. Sometimes they're background people. Most of the time it's like in a mall, or not shopping mall, but there's just a lot of people there milling around. And I realized years ago that I am on the fourth dimensional plane when that happens. And for me, the interpretation is that those, fourth dimension, those are the ancestors and the ones who are kind of stuck. And so that's why I see them as just background people, because they are there. I sort of step into their world, and so it was a joke on me that, what are you doing in my dream? Well, they're not in my dream. I'm in their world.
Right.
So it is empowering when you realize what, part of what your dreams are about. And that a lot of, for me, a lot of times they're, like I said, they're traveling, but some of them are, I can see where they would be timeline shifts, especially the series. I can see where I'm checking into another timeline, because some of those were like soap operas. And I'm like, what is this about? But it's all very interesting, and I've never studied dreams. It's just not anything I was ever interested in doing. But when I do, like, dip my toes into the pond, it's like, oh my God, this is so cool, what you can do, and watching you. And I hope that you do start the dream circle again. And I feel like there will be a lot of people who would be interested in that, because people are, I won't say waking up. We've been waking up for a very, very long time, but I I think that people are wanting more knowledge now. They're wanting to understand more. So they're in a different place. And I think that you'll have, it really feels like you'll have to limit it. You know, there'll be a cutoff point where you say, okay, this class is closed, you know, sign up for the new one. So I do hope that you do that. I think it would be not profitable is not the right word. Successful. It would be successful.
Yeah, I do want to. I think it's really important. You know, I've heard people say, you know, I don't want to hear dreams, you know, they're silly. I've heard all kinds of things, but when a person shares something like that, when they share a dream, they're really sharing something very personal and profound. So
Yeah.
it's almost like you walk into a sacred space with them. And
Mhm.
so, like, I love the dream circle because everyone that comes into it is coming in with that intent. They're all there because they are willing to hear something so deep and profound about another person. They're willing, they're there. So I I want to do it. I've been wanting to do it for a while. I haven't really had the inspiration, but now I'm feeling like very inspired. So thank you for sparking this inside of me. I mean, I've been wanting to do it, so I think I'm getting the green light.
And it's something that you're good at, you know? And honestly, I mean, there were so many other things that you were doing before now. You know, you relocated from New Mexico to Texas, and you're still thinking about another relocation. But I mean, you've been really busy with the art projects and the community work and the, I mean, and you know, maybe you can squeeze in some time for that.
Yeah, that I would make time for.
Well, do you have any plans to come to Dallas, to the Dallas area, and do anything?
You know, I haven't. I feel like I know so many people, you know, in Fort Worth and Dallas and, you know, North, you know, I know so many people there, but I haven't really had the opportunity to really be there for any length of time since I've been here. And it's still early. It's still the first year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I do, you know, I would love to do something collective, you know, something community driven with everyone in the area. I
Mm-hmm.
just haven't really had the time, you know, or the opportunities since I've been back. It, but I feel like it kind of all unfolds when it needs to. And I
Yeah,
just, I've noticed for the past like few months, there's just so many, it's like rapid changing in the energy. And it really is the planet itself, like the vibrations of the planet. So I'm trying to really slow down and take that in. And whatever
mhm.
I need to receive from that, I'm really trying to do that and allowing it to ground me as much as possible and, you know, guide me to whatever next step I need to take.
I know Houston, you're there, so I'm sure that you have a different perspective, but um, how is Houston as far as being open, as being, and I don't like the word metaphysical, but sometimes it's the only word you can use to, you know, to describe stuff. So how do you feel about the community there? Is there a community in Houston? I know there's a massive community in Austin, but and also like in the Hill Country area. But is there a community in Houston?
I think there is. I don't know anyone really here, but I think there is. There is a community of artists. There's a community of people here that are really connected. And I do feel that, like, just on a spiritual level, I can feel that. I'm
Okay.
not really in connection with them though. So really, I feel like I've come here really specifically to connect with my family. I'm kind of in a center point where I can get to, my mother, my father, and all my cousins and people that are important to me in Louisiana and North Texas and Austin. So I'm here for really specific work, familial work that I'm doing with my own generational trauma. And I do feel like I'm coming to good places with that. So I have felt a little bit more secluded here than I even felt in New Mexico, which is very strange. And I'm a reclusive creature anyway. So it's been interesting to see that this is the biggest city. It's a beautiful city. I actually really love Houston, but I have not met a lot of people here that I connect with at that deeper level.
There's I know of only one psychic fair type event that's held, I think, on a yearly basis. And I mean, here in the DFW Metroplex, you could go to a psychic fair every weekend. There is something happening, a class, a gathering, a drum circle, something. More than one, as a matter of fact. You have to pick and choose which one you want to attend. There's something going on all the time here. And, it's one of those things that you just think the whole world is like this, and it's not, So I was surprised when someone else that I know that was in Houston said, there's nothing going on here. There's no community. I don't have anybody to talk to. But I have people here say that. I have clients that come see me and they say, or I meet people at psychic fairs even, and they'll say, oh, I'm so glad to meet you. There's no one to talk to. I don't have anyone to talk to about this kind of stuff. And I'm like, really? Let me give you some names. Let me give you some events, because there's something all the time. So maybe that person that said that there's no community in Houston is just like one of the ones that I meet that says, I don't know who to talk to. I have no community. Maybe that was it. I'm hoping that there's a massive community in Houston.
I can feel it. I just don't. I haven't engaged with it yet. I haven't met it. I haven't,
Okay.
So yeah. I do feel that there are people here. But I'm also, I really, I'm very much a quiet creature. I'm very, reclusive. I'm very secluded, and a lot of that is intentional, and I enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So that's a part of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But one thing I want to say that I love, I absolutely adore about you is the way that you connect people and the way that you are able to bring people together in such an amazing way. I've met some of the dearest people to me through you, mm-hmm. because of you, and you're a blessing to me.
I thank you so much. That's one of the things that I love about doing this work is I have met some amazing people, and like one of the reasons why I used to love doing the women's retreats was because to me, it was bringing all those women together, to meet each other and become support systems for each other. And so that is one of the things that I love about being, about just being, is that I collect all these family members, and then I pair them up, and it's one of the things that brings me a lot of joy to be able to do that. So thank you. Yeah. So what else are we going to talk about? We have a few more minutes. Anything that we missed? Did we miss anything?
No, I think.
Do you want to do a meditation? Are you feeling doing a meditation, or is there anything?
No, I feel like we're at a really great place, to, wrap up if this is it. Yeah. I really didn't know what to expect. And I love that it has been a natural conversation, and I'm nervous. Mm-hmm. So, that's part of it too. I don't typically record myself and things like that. So all of this stuff is new and also kind of revisiting some older things for me. I noticed, when I began to shift a few months ago around art in general, just like the direction of my art, it was a revisiting, like you mentioned, like of that old album, I'm revisiting things that I put away. So it feels brand new, and it feels like I'm nervous, but at the same time, it isn't, it's old. It's things that I've been working with and doing for a really long time. So yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, we're at a good place.
Isn't that confirming though? I mean, the old adage, life confirming. Isn't it confirming though, when you find something like that and you go, oh, I've been doing this work a long time. I've been on this path a long time, and I've been doing it. I've been doing good work. Look, here's a piece of really good work that I did, because so many times people will look back and they'll say, well, I've come a long way, but sometimes you look back and you go, oh, I haven't really come a long way. I was doing it back then, and so I've been on the path, and this is good, and I think you're one of the ones that can say, I've been on this path for a while, and it's good, and I have a lot to contribute, because look at what I've already contributed, so that's good.
It does feel
that's
like
a good tribute. It's a good tribute to you.
Thank you.
I think the difference is, though, geographically, right? In New Mexico, you had more of an opportunity to go out in the desert and do things and, camp and hike. And here it's in Houston, you could go to Galveston and see the ocean, the Gulf, but, and you could go to the hill country. You're not that far from the hill country, are you? Right?
No, not too far.
Uh-huh. There's some beautiful places there. As a matter of fact, one of our sisters is down is it Wimberley? Do you know where Wimberley is?
I love that area. I love that.
Yeah,
area.
She posted some pictures. It is so amazing. And it's right by Jacob's Well. Wow. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you could do down there. I've never thought about that. I've got to let that go, where I'm thinking that Houston is limiting. I don't know what that program is, but erase. Because there's a lot of stuff down there.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, in terms of cities, this is my favorite city that I've ever lived in. It's just so large. I mean, I've not even really barely explored any of it yet, and work takes up a lot of my time too. So that's a piece of it. But I do think in terms of city, it is extremely diverse and dynamic. There's so many different kinds of people that come through here, which is not the case. I mean, living in Albuquerque for a year, very, much like homogenized. There are people from all walks of life that live here in the city. And you can feel that. You see it represented in pretty much every area. And I really love that about Houston, because I feel like I'm a person that is all things in that same way. I don't feel like I'm just one thing. And it feels nice to have that kind of energy. Like it's like this hub of, it'd be like going to an airport, there's tons of people coming in and leaving all the time. And it has that feeling of like, a place of importance, so I do think that there's something here. I'm just not connected to the people yet.
Yeah, because when you think Houston is about oil and gas, basically, and so I could see that there would be a a wide range of different races and cultures there.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. More than Dallas. Dallas is like, to me, Dallas is like old money, you know, and so for a while, Dallas was just so dead. It's only been in the last 20 years, I guess, you know, that everything has started to congeal and come together and congeal here. So, well, maybe I'll have to check out Houston one day.
Well, you
Give
have
it a
place.
chance.
You have a place
Give
here,
Houston a chance.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming and sharing with us, and be sure and send me the links for any events that you're doing, or ways that people can book with you if they want to.
Yeah, for sure.
Because not only is the purpose, you know, for people to be able to get different perspectives and information, I also want to connect them with people. I'm a people connector. Mm-hmm. So I also want to connect them with you, you know, if they feel drawn to work with you. So if you would be sure, and if you haven't already, send me some links of how people can get in contact with you and what you're offering, and we'll put it on the podcast information.
I will do that. After this call.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for this podcast, and be sure to click follow on the main page. And also there is an option to become a patron to help cover the cost of the podcast. So I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate you, Christina, for being open enough and trusting to come and talk with me. And so I'm going to hit stop on the record.